I think one of the most challenging things as an entrepreneur is learning how to navigate your lows, learning how to navigate your challenges in a roller coaster of a journey that entrepreneurship is. And today, I'm so excited to be talking about how you can emotionally regulate, how to use dance as a beautiful tool, how to find alignment and clarity in your life, and how to release and process your emotions and build empowerment within yourself and within your body. I am Pratna, and you're listening to Rebel with a Purpose. In today's episode, I've invited Pearl CC, who is a somatic coach. What she does is she calls herself a state optimization expert, and I believe that her magic is so potent and powerful because I've attended her sessions, and that's why I wanted to bring her to you. So I'm really excited to get right into this. Let's get started. Hi, Pearl. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm so good. How are you? I'm happy to be here.
I'm doing good too. Such an honor to have you on my episode. I'm so glad you're here. So, to start off, can you tell the listeners a little bit about more of what you do and your story?
Yeah, let's see if I can condense it because I do many things. My story is really long. I am from Vancouver, BC. My name is Pearl Cece. I have evolved my title so many times, and honestly, sometimes it's so hard to put what you do in a title. Right now, I'm calling myself a state optimization expert for high achieving women. And so that's what I'm working on. And when I say that, really, it's all about your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health, your energy, and also your emotional well being, because all these parts of us affect how we show up and how we operate as entrepreneurs and as women who have big visions and big impacts and are just here to serve and make big shit happen, you know? And so I'm really here to support the woman behind the business or the movement or whatever you're building, whatever you're creating for yourself, helping the woman be happy, healthy, energized, be positive, be confident, believe in herself, all the things. And so the journey of me, my story, I would say really comes from me not having any of that, me being really low self-esteem, no low worth. I wasn't aligned. I was working a job I hated and I wasn't really sure on what I wanted to do. And, dance has been such a big part of my life. And if you know me or if you're new to me, dance is a huge part of not just my passion, but also how I support women as well. And when I was younger, I wanted to be a dancer, but I was told I wasn't allowed to. And oh, it's not a real job and you can't do that. And so, I learned at a very young age that, oh, I can't actually do what I want. So I need to go and do what other people want me to do, right? And so maybe some of you can relate. So over the years, it's evolved and I got a job. I was a dietitian, used to be a health coach. I still am a health coach, just a different name. And yeah, really realizing, and it's still a journey, okay, what action I want to do, what makes me feel fulfilled, what makes me happy. So being able to infuse a lot more dance and movement into my business, into my life has like made me so aligned because that's what I'm truly here to do in some parts. And then, come going through experiencing a lot of mental hardships and anxiety and panic attacks and just having really hard mental time, especially being an entrepreneur. Business is not easy, not for the faint of heart. So it's up and down. And so just through my journey, I just learned a lot of tools and wisdom and taken a lot of courses, worked with a lot of coaches to support women and support myself first, and then share people what I've learned and how I support and elevate my energy and all the things that create my lit state. And I'm here to help others create a lit state too. So I try to condense it, but that's my story and what I do.
I love that. Yeah, I love the word lit. I love how that's like part of your brand message. It's beautiful. And I completely resonate with what you said, right? Because like the world tells us, oh, we can't do this, we can't do that. But that's what your calling is, that's what your alignment is. And so if you don't really lean into that, you are going to feel out of alignment. You're going to feel stressed. You're going to feel anxious. Like all of these mental health disorders also come from being out of alignment. So very similar story as yours. So I completely get that. And when you spoke about the business thing and you were like, it's not for the faint-hearted, I was like, I get that too. Like, I resonate so much. I started my business 1.5 years ago too. So I want to know from you, like, what would you say has been one of your biggest challenges as an entrepreneur starting your business? And when did you start? Like, what was your journey like?
Yeah, this is such a good question. So I started my entrepreneurship journey in 2020. Mm,
Okay.
yes, actually just before 2020. So late
Wow.
2019, I
Awesome.
started off as a personal trainer. I graduated school in 2019 as a dietitian and doing health work in the hospital, which I didn't love, but it was what I was supposed to do. And so I followed whatever people told me and I did it. And I'm really grateful for it because that's what allowed me to have all the knowledge I have about the human body, about nutrition, about physiology, and all the things I talk to my clients about. So that's like was a part of my journey. And I started my entrepreneurship journey doing personal training and fitness and also getting clients on the side as a dietitian in late 2019. So that was my journey. Then COVID hit, and then we went online in 2020. And so I was starting to do more online stuff in 2020. That's when I fully started like my online business. So yeah, I mean, 5 years ago now, it's wild. The biggest challenge, this is hard to say just one because there's so many, but I think this is something I'm still working through after years and years. I've had a long journey of just like repeating certain cycles, and maybe you can relate. Like there's certain cycles and patterns that take a while and take, I believe, a level of like understanding and knowing and experience before you're like, oh my God, like this one I need to break. So my current pattern that I'm breaking is actually not being able to focus. So my biggest challenge has been not knowing what to do, not being able to focus. I'll be like, okay, this strategy sounds good, but that didn't work. So I'm gonna hop on this strategy, and oh fuck, like this coach is gonna help me. No, this program, this and that and this. So really bad shiny object syndrome, something that's been very challenging for me. And once I would pick a strategy or pick a coach, I would, maybe I would apply something and it wouldn't work, and that would discourage me. So I wouldn't want to do those strategies. So for me, it's like staying focused and sticking to a strategy and really understanding what feels good to me. And I think a lot of times I got lost in the sauce of like, again, this coach said I should do this, and this coach said launching this way is the best. No, but this one said this way, and oh my God. So getting really confused has been deterring me a lot. And so this year I really focused, and I'm focusing on coming back to my voice, my authenticity, how I want to show up, and just like really focusing on listening to one way of doing things, and that's my way of doing things. That's I believe that's the only way you can do things. Obviously, people have a lot of great things to share and good insights, but it must feel aligned for you. So that's my focus this year, and we're gonna see how it goes.
Oh my God, I love that. I think it's gonna go amazing. My focus this year also is self-trust, which is wild that we have like very similar focuses. I've also worked with business coaches when I started my journey last year, and I remember that I was really like confused. I was really misaligned at first. I didn't trust myself. I went into a very like masculine way of doing business, where I was on Facebook constantly like messaging people, cold pitching myself, and that's not really aligned with the strategy I use today. And it took me a long time to figure out that this is not aligned to me, and then decide to like not attend my coach's sessions and then invest in another coach. And so I've gone through that whole like investing multiple times and then seeing what's right for me and what works for me. And I feel like that's just like the business inevitability which comes when you start a business. Like you're also finding yourself when and you're becoming in a business. An entrepreneurial journey is very spiritual. That's how I see it, and I know you see it similarly. So, what would you say has been your biggest takeaway from this business from starting?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. It's like inevitable. It's kind of just like the journey you learn, kind of like when you start going to the gym. It's like you're gonna be sore, you're not gonna know what weights to lift. You're probably gonna lift too heavy sometimes, and your back is gonna hurt. And so same thing with entrepreneurship. Like you have to find yourself, you have to find your way, and sometimes that can look like investing in multiple coaches. And so the biggest takeaway for me, and I mean, there's always multiple, and this is always evolving and growing. But I would say it would be to really truly follow like what lights you up. Follow the way you want to do things. Follow the thing that's meant for you, because I really believe everyone has a slightly different way of doing things. And if you make yourself wrong for that, you're like, oh, I really want to do it this way, but like, man, no one else is doing it that way. Or this coach that I'm paying money said I shouldn't do it that way, or whatever. A great example for this is I remember I had a coach a couple years ago, and I was like, I really want to do a free challenge. Like I love doing free challenges, and my multi-day free challenges really do well, and my clients get amazing results, and everyone's like such a good vibe, and I love them. And that's like a good enough reason for me. And she was like, oh, like you don't have to do a challenge. Like I don't know if you need to. Like you can if you want, but like I wouldn't do one.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, man. And so I was like sitting with it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'm gonna do the challenge. I'm like, I want to do it, I'm gonna do it. And I did
Yeah.
it, and it was incredible. I had like so many people, like 70 people signed up.
Wow.
Everyone loved it. It was so needed. And so I just really trust what you're meant to do, trust your soul alignment, and knowing that whenever I strayed away from that, that's when I got lost in the sauce. That's when I kind of, lost my way. And so we're always being guided, and we just have to listen to that. So it's like a big lesson. I'm always learning that one, but yeah.
Yeah, but I love that because, like, when you did decide to trust yourself and go with it, you actually built evidence that it works. And that
Yeah.
evidence helps you build the confidence and build the self-trust. And it just makes you more magnetic because you start believing in yourself more with every opportunity that you get to believe in yourself. Because I've had the same situation again, so many synchronicities between a conversation today. But when I was studying in university, I was working at a job, and all my friends were like, "You got to take it. It's going to be the best launch pad to get you other jobs. You got to take it. You'll be stupid to not take it." And I'm like, "Fine." Like everyone, including my mom's telling me to take it. I'm going to take it. I took it. I hated it. 2 weeks later, I was like, I got to get out of this shit. Like, I got to get out of this right now. I spoke to the career counselor, my college counselor. I was like, get me out of this. I want to go back to college. Like, I literally skipped a semester to do this. So I was like, get me back to the semester. I'm not wasting 6 months of my life doing this. I want to go back. And I, luckily enough, got back to the semester. I got all the modules I wanted. I studied, followed my passion, did what I really wanted to do. And after that experience, I realized that I'm actually smarter than I think I am. And I should just trust myself because I created so much happiness in my life by just trusting myself and going against what 90% of the people told me to do. So that for me was a turning point for my confidence. And I'm sure, like, you making these decisions on your own and then seeing the result of your own decisions and seeing how it works wonders for you is building that confidence muscle for yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like once you learn and how to trust and you take the action, oftentimes something positive happens, right? And so that you need to use that to reinforce, oh, like, okay, this is good. This is like signs that I need to keep going, keep trusting myself, and keep leading with your intuition and all the things. Of course, that's all you learn through trial and error, what that feels like, what it sounds like, and how to take more action in a aligned way. But yeah, like every time I do, like my intuition's never been wrong. I don't think it's ever wrong because it's like your guidance system. And
Yeah.
so every time I follow it, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, cool, right. Like that's why I need to do this. It's always a reminder.
Yeah, awesome. That's amazing. And I wanted to ask you, like, because I saw a post recently on your feed, which I loved, which was about like periods and how that affects women, especially in doing business, and those low periods in life, and also like your menstrual periods, also is what I'm speaking about. How do you like deal with these low phases? Like, I want you to talk about it in two different ways. One is just like, say, overwhelm, burnout, comparison. And the other part I would say is like, yeah, your actual physical aches and pains and cramps from your periods, because you said you no longer have cramps, and I want to hear that story too. So can you speak about it in these two different directions?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I get a lot of questions about this because most women are like, what? So I'll answer your first part first. How I navigate lows and,
Yeah.
the ebbs and flows of life, like the challenges, the self-doubt, like that comes up for every single human being.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately I've gotten really much better at navigating these periods because they're going to come, but it's how you navigate them. It's whether or not you stay low for a week or 2 weeks or a month, or whether you bounce back and use these lessons and periods as a way to really get yourself back into alignment. So whenever I feel low or discouraged or self-doubt or just experiencing a lull in life, which happens, I always have to ask myself, okay, well, what is here for me? What is not aligned? Why am I feeling burnt out? Why am I feeling stressed? Why am I feeling so let down or so low? And really looking at, oh, like usually there's something that's contributing to this. For me, a lot of times it's maybe how I'm operating my business. Maybe that I'm not actually working out as much as I need to be. Maybe I'm not sleeping as well. Maybe I'm not taking care of myself. Maybe I'm not actually seeing the friends I want to see. Like, why am I not feeling as happy as I want to be? You need to do the work to realign or recorrect yourself, right? And so that's like, okay, well, what's contributing these factors and let me change it. I'm very much in the empowerment, like change the things that you don't love. I saw a
Mhm.
quote the other day. It's like what you're not changing, you're choosing. So if you choose, and on a science level, like in the body, feelings only need 2 minutes to process. Like the chemical reaction of the feelings is 2 minutes. Everything over 2 minutes is us overthinking in our heads, telling stories, getting sad, making things up, being negative, making it mean things. Like the human brain's really good at creating stories, and a lot of times they don't serve us. So a lot of the work I do for myself, my clients, is like how do we create a story that does serve us, a story that does create positive chemicals in the body, right? And so yeah, during those periods, I just ask myself, and obviously I feel the feels. I have a process that I take myself through to process my emotions and to give myself the time and space to feel and really deeply express what I need to. And that's so important to not repress your feelings or like avoid them, to actually sit with them and like see what's there for you. And then when I'm complete, then I move on and I do what I need to do to get myself back in a good feeling. So that's my first answer. Do you want me to keep going?
That's good. Yeah, that's lovely. I love that answer. Like that's beautiful because when you said you take like 2 minutes is how long you can take to process a feeling, that's wild. Because I know so many of us, like actually a lot of times in my past, I have purposely made myself sad by listening to sad music for a longer duration of time, thinking this is healthy, I'm processing. But this was such a breakthrough for me. Like, you saying that you actually just need 2 minutes to process and sit with yourself, and after that you can rewire and shift. Because I've always had the question is like, how long do I sit with it, and then when do I know to shift? Right. So that really helps. Thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I think like there's obviously two ways to go about it, and that's why there's a science behind it, but there's the real life. Like, let's say when my sister died, it took me way more than 2 minutes to heal, and I'm still healing.
Course.
But like, there's big things that happen in your life that you need time to process and grieve. But you get to get better at it as you go and as you move. And some things might happen, and you can take 2 minutes to bounce back. Other things might take you a little bit longer, but you get better. And so it's like understanding when you feel complete versus when you just keep yourself stuck in the cycle. So there's a difference there, and really important to be aware of that, because it's easy to stay stuck. But when you actually feel complete, when you give yourself the time and space to process the emotion, you will feel a shift, which is why I teach my clients, and then they move forward in a different state. So
That's beautiful. Yeah, that's completely true. It's mostly like for my everyday things. Like recently, I've realized when I have challenges on a daily basis, the response time, like the response to getting back to my status quo, getting back to feeling okay and normal, has been much quicker each time I go through the same thing. So it's like it's emotional resilience, bouncing back up
yeah,
after you've had a fight with your mom, or you've had a bad day, or you've had a bad interview, and then how do you bounce back after processing that, okay, this sucked, this was horrible, but now what am I going to make the rest of the day bad, am I going to make the rest of the week bad, or am I going to shift it around, right? So I really
yeah,
like that thing.
exactly.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, amazing. So that's great. And then the second question, menstrual cycles are definitely complex, but there is
Hmm.
so much evidence behind that our lifestyle factors directly impact our hormones impact our menstrual cycle. And when I was going through really painful periods, I've had painful periods for most of my life, actually, from when I was 12 till about 3 years ago. And I did a lot of work on my periods, on my cycle, on my health, on my hormones, on my habits, on how I think, on how I, all the things. And over time, eventually my periods got better and better and better to now, if I'm keeping up with my healthy habits, I really don't have any period symptoms. I don't get moody. I don't have cravings, don't have cramps, like none of the stuff. And I realized at a young age, actually, that we're not actually meant to feel like this on our periods. We're not meant to feel so bad and low and have all this pain. It's mostly due to imbalance of hormones, lifestyle factors, and also our mindsets and how we're conditioned to think. I really believe what we believe is true is going to be true. So we're conditioned as women to think, oh, our periods have to be bad and we're supposed to crave chocolate and oh, we're supposed to have cramps and it's supposed to be this and that and that. Like we're told from a very young age this. So no wonder why 99% of women experience this, right? It's like our conditioning. So I decided to stop believing that. I decided to stop because in my body, it didn't feel true. I was like, I actually don't think I meant to feel like this much pain. Like I was in bed, fetal position. I couldn't move. I couldn't do anything. I was sweating in so much pain. I'm like, this can't be the norm. Like, what the fuck? This is normal for us. So I went on a deep dive and really learned how to balance my hormones and get myself back in check. And it's a daily process because I remember there was a month that I fell off my habits and I just had a tough month. I wasn't able to do all the things. And
Hmm.
that month I had pretty bad, not as bad as usual, but they were worse than normal period cramps. I was like, oh shit. So your period's like a report card almost of like how you're doing in your life, how stressed you are, if you're taking care of yourself. And if you are doing all the things you need to be doing and like your body's in a good optimal state, then you're not going to have as many negative symptoms. And of course, this takes time to build. It took me like 2 years of consistency to heal my period cramps and balance my hormones, but it's possible. And now I literally barely feel anything, and it's really amazing. And so, just encouraging you out there if you do have any struggles with your menstrual cycles, like know that you can change it, but it does take dedication to your habits, to your health, to your mindset, to reducing your stress levels, to working out, to eating healthy, to sleeping well, like all the things that I teach with my clients too. It's like the healthy habits that help us create a lit state, the things you need to do every single day.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. And when you spoke about consistency, the one question that just popped up, which was like, when you're not seeing results, because you said 2 years you were consistent. So when you're not seeing results, how do you, and this is in any aspect of life, not only with regards to like your healthy habits, but how do you remain consistent when you're not seeing the results? And this happens in business, right? Like we're putting
Yeah.
stories out there, we're selling every day, clients aren't coming, we're still selling, bro. So like, how are you able to like build this consistency with yourself in your personal life and in your professional life?
Yeah, this is such a good question because this is something so many people struggle with, myself included at times. Like, I'm really good at consistency now in my health and like business consistency is coming. The biggest thing that's helped me, especially with like my health journey, is thinking of the bigger picture and understanding like the probability of this not working is so slim. Like, for example, if I go to bed on time every day, if I wind down, if I do my morning routine, if I meditate, if I work out, if I eat vegetables, like if you do all these things, it's literally impossible that you will not benefit and your health will not improve. Like, so I'm just like, okay, well, I know these things are helping me. And also, I really trust with how it feels to my body. So, this is also goes for every part of your life. Does it feel like it's in alignment? Do you feel good about it? Does it make you feel expansive and like you're making progress? Or do you feel stressed out and contractive? So I knew that, okay, even though maybe right now I'm still experiencing negative period symptoms or I was still stressed or whatever was happening, I know it's going to get better. And it did get better slowly and slowly. I still had cramps, but in 2 months they were better, and then in 3 months they were better, and then eventually they were gone. So I saw the progress. I saw myself, like my skin was clearer, I was getting more fit, I was feeling better, I was falling asleep faster, I was better, getting better quality of sleep. Like, there's a lot of things. So when it comes to consistency and results, the two things I always think about is, okay, am I doing the things I need to do in a way that feels good to me? And am I looking at other results that are coming up? Because oftentimes we're just focusing on a certain result. Like, I want to have no cramps or I want to have $10,000 a month. But are you looking at the result, like the other results? Okay, I got more client or I got more inquiries. Or hey, actually, I'm sleeping better. Or hey, I had less cramps this month. Like, looking at the results that bring you to that main result. Because a lot of times we avoid or ignore the evidence that it is working, because it's always working. It's just, are we focusing on the evidence that it is working? So those two things really helped me to stay consistent, and also it just felt so good. Like, I felt really healthy, I felt happy, I felt aligned. I was like, I'm gonna keep doing this because it feels good. And I think that's the biggest key, especially in business. When you do something because it feels good, because you want to, because you desire to, it's so much easier to do it versus doing it because, oh, I have to hit 10K or I didn't hit 10K, oh, I'm so upset. It's like, no, I'm just doing this because I love it. And whether or not I hit 10K months, whatever, you know? That was the same thing with my period. I wasn't like, oh, I have to get rid of my cramps. I actually didn't even know it was possible. Truly, when I started my journey, my goal wasn't to get rid of my cramps. My goal was to feel better. And eventually, feeling better got rid of my cramps. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing because I think like the small goals that he spoke about, the progress, we don't see it, we don't celebrate it. We always have this one meal goal, we attach ourselves to that main goal, and we're like, okay, if we're not getting it, failure. You know, if you get it, success.
Yeah.
Like it's not black and white at all. Business, personal life, everything in life is like that gray matter where you're progressing. We're all a work in progress. We're always progressing. So I love that piece that you shared there. I think it's so important. And I also know you do so much movement and dance, and I love seeing your reels. They make me so happy. They have a different energy to it. Absolutely love your energy. So, what has movement, dance shifted for you in your life? I know it's a big question.
Yeah. Everything. I mean, I'm a dancer, so I've been dancing for like 13 years now. And so, like I mentioned earlier, when I was younger, I always wanted to dance. I knew that dance is actually, it's a part of my life's purpose because I've gotten some readings and stuff like that. Like, movement and dance is a part of my life purpose, which I love. So I knew this at a very young age. And actually, a lot of times kids know what's meant for them because kids are
Yep.
like pure light, pure consciousness
Yeah.
until we get conditioned. So I knew that. And I was like, okay, this is dance. And then, I was told I can't dance, whatever. So now coming back to dance, I really reignited my passion for dance actually through the hardest time in my life. And I really think oftentimes this happens when you go through a really hard time, you reignite and you find your purpose again, you find your why. And so my sister passed away a few years ago and she ended up taking her own life because she was struggling mentally and really depressed. and she hated her life. And so she, decided to leave the earth. And so that really I really struggled with that. Like that was a really big, big period of my life where I was depressed, I was sad, like I was questioning my whole entire existence. And that's actually one of the reasons why mental health is such a big part of the coaching I do for myself. Because mental health is like something that you can do every day to support to improve it. There's things you can do every day to help yourself feel better. And so in these dark times, I remember just always feeling so sad and nothing was right and my life sucked. And this is before I really got into personal development and the healing world. And I remember feeling called to dance. Like I was just so sad one day, and then I had like an intuitive nudge, and it was like dance. I was like dance. Like fuck, I'm sad. What do you mean? I don't want to dance. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll dance. Like I love dance. I actually haven't danced in a long time. Okay, I'm gonna dance. So I just put on a song and I started dancing. And I was like, oh, actually, this is fun. Like I feel really good. This is really fun. And from that day forward, that was the moment I felt happy. And I didn't feel happy very often during this time in my life. And so that was helped me feel a little bit happier, feel a little bit better. So then I started saying, okay, I'm going to dance every day because it helps me feel happier. And then as I used dance and movement, I would start to process. Like I would dance, and then sometimes I start crying, and I would dance, and I would feel all these things come up. And through dancing, through movement, I was able to actually really support and heal and grieve my sister and like work on a lot of stuff that was coming up around that, forgive myself. The list goes on and on. And then I got into the world of somatic and movement and understanding, oh, like the reality and the science behind using body as a way to process emotion, how our body stores trapped emotions, all the things, and really infusing that now as daily practice. I still dance every day, and I really believe everyone needs to dance every day. But for me, it's just changed how I process emotions, my emotional resilience, my confidence, my motivation levels, getting more tapped into like my body and my intuition and coming back home to me, getting out of my head into my body. It's just really every area of my life has been improved by me moving, by me just connecting to my energy. And yeah, it's just been really a very powerful practice. This is why I teach as well. And so it's just something that's really gone to the wayside, I believe, because human beings, we are meant to dance and move. We are tribal beings, and movement is medicine for us. And I'm trying to bring that back.
Yeah. I love that you said that. That was amazingly well explained. And I want to like bring out something I heard from what you said is dancing and grieving. And people don't look at it together. Like there's no connection between it. That's what people think. But I love that you mentioned those two because I remember attending your magic move session. And I remember I was in Mumbai and I was chilling with my friends and I was like, oh, it's 10:30 p.m. It's Pearl session. I gotta go. I gotta attend this. I literally go up to my room, lock the room door, and I'm in the room dancing to frustration, pain, anger, sadness, and then shifting that to empowerment and the songs and the music and everything you use. I think that was the first time I've danced to such negative, deep shadow emotions within me that I
Mm.
was holding. And like you said, like our body stores these emotions. So for me, that was a very powerful way to express my anger, express my grief, express my sadness, and kind of release that through moving. And I've realized movement has also been magic for me, and that's why I think I resonate with you so much because I love somatics, I love movement, and I see you doing it, and I'm just like, this is so inspirational for me too because I love it. So can you, yeah, give us a little bit about how does movement actually help you release these heavy emotions and especially grief?
Yeah, that's so good. And I'm so happy you came to that session because every time it's really powerful work actually. And so movement, how it's related to emotions and grief, you said. So
Yeah, grief.
so our body traps emotions, especially when we don't process them, like I mentioned earlier. Now, humans, we're not taught how to process emotions. Animals naturally have their instinct and they listen to their instincts. So when animals go through something traumatic, let's say a lion chases a zebra, right? And the zebra like makes it and it's like so scared, it's like, oh my God, I almost died. And then the zebra, what it does is called undulation. Undulation, the zebra shakes and it releases all the emotions, all the scaredness, and all the things. And then in a couple minutes, it's back to normal. Just like eating grass, like nothing happened. It's fine because it took the time to process the emotion. Now, humans, we don't do that, but we're actually supposed to. We don't do that. We don't learn how to release and undulate and like process and move through our emotions. So we just stuff them down. We're like, oh, it's fine, whatever. I'm just gonna scroll. Oh, I'm just gonna ignore it. Whatever, it's fine. We repress it. We distract ourselves. We suppress whatever. And eventually these build up and these cause, a lot of things. They cause disease, anxiety, just like negative frequencies are trapped in your body, affect your cells, affect how you vibrate, all the things. And so now with movement and dance, it doesn't have to be dance, but I just find dancing a really beautiful way to do it. You need to connect to the movement, to the emotions in your body, and express them through movement. And through undulating or moving through the emotions, you're able to release them from the body and you're able to give themselves space to like actually process and give yourself the grace or the time you need to like attend to it and see what's there. And like obviously I've created a unique method. Other people have different ways of doing this with movement and dance and somatics. But yeah, for me, it's just attaching a meaning or like an energy to that emotion, moving through it, seeing what's there for you, and then releasing it, letting it go with the body, and then moving through other emotions as well. And then also empowering yourself and tapping into elevated states, right? Because once you release the emotion, there's space. There's space for you to tap into different emotions and energies. So that's what I do with my movement practice.
Yeah, I love that. And even like, I think one of your posts recently also spoke about movement and clarity, right? So, like, how does movement like help you connect deeper with yourself and bring about that clarity?
Yeah. That's a good question. So whenever you're in your body, you can be more clear. Now, there is a caveat here because it just depends on how much you practice being in your body. But when you're in your body, when you're connected to your intuition, when you're present, when you are here, like the the most powerful thing about movement and exercising and dance, because you get to the present, you're here with your body, you're lifting that weight, or you're dancing and you're in that moment. When we're in our heads, we disconnect, we overthink, we get stressed, we getting anxious, and whenever we're in these states, we actually disconnect and we are no longer connected to our source, to our body, to our intuition. And so the more we can be in our body, so dance is just a way to get yourself into your body. And that's when you're actually more clear, when you're able to move and connect and slow it down and take some breaths and just like be there. And then you can have more things come through. And not just through that. Like I also experience a lot of clarity through meditation and just anything that brings you to the present moment and in the body is where you're going to be the most clear in your thoughts and your processes and through your intuition.
Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing because I do a lot of clarity work and I've also like done a lot of visualization meditations with my clients, but using somatics as a way to gain more clarity seems so powerful. So thank you for sharing that nugget with me. And now to end off, I want you to share more about your magic, like the tools you use, a little more about that, and how the listeners can work with you.
That's great. So, what I do is multifaceted for sure. I call my method the LIP method. And what this means is there's a four-part framework. I really focus on aligning the person to their soul. So I work with people that need to or want to or already are clear on what they're here to do and are ready to take aligned action in that way. So I'm actually not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to help you get clear on what you want to do on your soul's purpose, on your intuitive hits, on your gifts, whatever you're here to share. And then I help you amplify your energy, your mindset, your emotional well-being for you to pursue that purpose. So first we get clear, okay? Really clear on that, and of course, you can evolve, you're human, but just getting a really good starting point. And then we work on your emotional, because your emotions are probably the biggest things that stop you, that get in the way, right? Because you have like, you know what you need to do, you know where you want to go, but it's the, oh, am I good enough? Oh, can I do this? Oh, I don't know. Like all of the stories, all the self-doubt, the emotions, the anxiety, the worry, the fear, frustration, like, oh my gosh, that whole world. And that's what I help you create a process to help you move through these emotions that come up every single day of your life because we're emotional beings and it's beautiful. But if you can understand how to use your emotions, what I say, use your feelings for fuel versus using your feelings as a way to keep you stuck or keep you in the slow lane. Like we want to understand our emotions and actually build a relationship with them. So every time you feel something, every time you experience something happen in life, like you really are able to empower yourself and process them and all the things I talked about, give yourself space, move through them, and then take action in a aligned, empowered way. So then we also talk about your mental well-being, right? I do a lot of mindset work. So mindset work, reframing, looking at your subconscious stories, talking about like resisting limiting, not resisting, but releasing your limiting beliefs, like from a deep level. Most limiting belief work is just like, oh yeah, just blast limiting belief and write the opposite and just do the mantra or like say the opposite to yourself. But that's actually not the case. What I realized and learned, your beliefs and stories are deeply rooted in your body. And so we must find them and liberate them from the body and liberate yourself, your subconscious mind from that story. And that takes a lot of deeper work and it's very powerful, but you must do that if you want to fully learn how to liberate them. And then you do the daily work for the reprogramming and the repetition, right? So the mindset work there, I do also do a lot of like other tools like EFT tapping, meditation, journaling. I basically share everything that I've done in my life that I find supportive, and my clients can either take what they like, leave what they don't, and really make their own way of doing it. And then I also focus on a big piece to mental excellence is your physical state, right? The chemicals in your body, how you're operating. So I do a lot of habit forming. I call them high vibe habits, high vibrational habits. So habits are going to bring you up, getting your sleep in order, eating in order, exercise in order, stress reducing practices, your morning routine. Like, how are you structuring your day in a way that sets you up for success in your energy? How are you working on your mindset? How are you thinking about ways you can get more endorphins, more dopamine, like a lot of neuroscience as well, but really creating daily habits that help support you to achieving your soul's purpose and reducing your mental emotional blocks. That's what I do in a nutshell.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I love that. I think all of those are such integral parts to healing, to processing, to releasing, and to empowering yourselves. I think that's beautiful. And how would they work with you? What are the different ways that people can work with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, I am currently in a repivot. I don't know. I'm revamping a lot of things because I'm getting back into alignment with myself, with my business. So I do have a couple one-on-one spots open. If you do want to inquire, if you love the work I'm doing and you want to work with me, let me know. I have some one-on-one spots available. I am also working on a group program that I'm going to be launching when it's ready. I'm really not going to rush it because I realize I've been rushing things. I'm just going to take the slower, more aligned way, which is actually the fast route for me. So I have a group program coming up too. So if you want to inquire about any of those, let me know. But in the meantime, just come into my DMs and say hi. Let me know you listen to this. Let me know your biggest takeaways. I also have a free community where I do weekly lives. So you want to come, just like experience my energy, experience what I talk about. Come join us weekly lives on Wednesdays. And there's a lot of opportunities for you to learn and grow and be my world. And then decide if you want to work together. So I'd be happy to talk to you about anything.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Pearl. And I'm going to put your Instagram or profile also on the link of this episode so that people can click onto that and see your profile. But that's amazing. And I'm so honored that you came on this episode. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your energy. I love your work. Keep doing amazing stuff. Keep spreading your magic.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you. And I hope you got value from this and take some nuggets and go implement them.
Thank you. Take care. See you soon. Bye. Well, that's the end of this episode. How amazing and mind blowing was that? Like, I've gotten so many breakthroughs just listening to Pearl, and I really hope you've gotten them too. I'm gonna add her Instagram down so you can follow her journey. She's amazing at what she does. I've attended her sessions personally, and so I can vouch for her. Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening. You're listening to Rebel with a Purpose, and I'm Pratna signing off.